They say the Skinwalker shows up where grief is loudest, where someone misses so hard the missing person leaves a scent like burned sugar in the air. You can call that superstition, you can call it what you like, but I call it what I smelled the night my sister went missing. It was late fall and the trees kept their last leaves like a stubborn secret. Mara had gone out after a fight. She was too proud to come back and too stubborn to wait. And the town swallowed her shadow. We searched until our throats were raw and our shoes were soaked with the creek water. And what we found were tracks, 2 sets, small and light. And one set that was too long, like someone wearing another man's arms. And the sheriffs chalked it up to coyotes with bad paws. The old woman at the diner slid me a cup of coffee and said, "Eyes flat, you know better." She tapped the table twice like a small ritual. After that, I listened to everything as if sound could be a map. And the first thing I noticed was the voice. You didn't always see a skinwalker first. You hear the way someone calls your name from the dark, so familiar your chest opens and you think you're home, until you realize the syllables are slightly off, like a needle skipping a record. It was at Mara's apartment. We were sorting through shirts for the smell of her, any scrap that could tell me where she'd been. The radio hummed low, her favorite playlist shuffled like a heart, and I heard the key at the door, the laugh I knew 1,000 ways, and my muscles relaxed. "Hey," the voice said. Hers, but around it in a way. She never spoke when we were angry. You left the light on, and I turned. The silhouette filling the doorway had my sister's tilt shoulder hunched, one hip cocked. For a ridiculous small moment, I felt foolish with relief. The room filled with the wrongness of it, though. The way the shadow bent where no shadow should bend, and the smell of winter smoke, and something else that made the back of my neck itch, like wool against raw skin. "Where have you been?" I asked, too sharp. It smiled, teeth that belonged to someone who had spent too long among animals, a gap in the lower jaw. "Just outside," it said, waiting exactly where she left it, but with a tiny ring of mud beneath, as if its hands had been in earth. It pulled the cardigan over its shoulders, and it wore it like a costume. But the sweater's threads lay wrong, stretched, like they had been worn by claws. And neighbors started to see her, always at dusk. Mara in the grocery aisle, Mara at the laundromat, Mara sitting in the park with a half-formed smile. They wave at her, and she waved back, just enough error and motion to set teeth on edge. People told me they'd run into her in town square, and she hummed a song she used to sing to our mother, but the lyrics were garbled, swapped here and there like a language unspooling. I tried to trap it. I made a plate of her favorite cookies and set them on the porch. I left voice messages begging, demanding, promising. I put out her sweater on a chair in the yard and taped a note to it, "Come home." When it came, it traced the note with one finger and left a smear of dirt that matched the prints in the creek bed. And one night I followed it. Not too close. Never too close. People forget how a thing moves when it's practicing being human. Not walking, but more like convincing itself of walking. It paused where the streetlight flickered and turned, and for an instant, its face shifted into every face I'd loved, I saw my mother's flattened nose, my father's tired jaw, and then Mara's grin like glass. I stepped forward, and it tilted, its head the way she did when she tried to read a joke in my eyes.
You shouldn't have come.
And the voice came out as a chorus, too many timbres in one mouth. Why are you doing this? I asked. The question was smaller than I felt.
Grief will make you ask small things of monsters.
It reached out and touched my wrist. The skin was warm, but it was too warm. It smelled of smoke and the creek water and the faint metallic tang of fear.
Practice to belong.
I laughed then, a small, broken sound. You can't steal belonging. And the hand closed, pressure. Bones slid like doors. I saw, for a second, Mara's eyes inside the shape, wide and bright with terror, and then the Skinwalker smiled again, the kind of smile that had learned what the correct emotions looked like and practiced them in the dark. They say you can stop it. You can mark the doorways with salt and say someone's true name and refuse to answer the voice. Maybe you can. Maybe the Skinwalker's patience is the patient kind of thing that uses seasons like tools. Maybe the only way to save someone stolen is to convince everyone else that they're gone. I don't know which of us it took that night. Some nights when the wind comes from the creek, I stand in the doorway and call Mara's name until the sound leaves my mouth raw. Sometimes I shape returns my call with a perfect little echo and sets a mug on the table where it always sits. And sometimes when I pass a window, I see my own reflection hesitate. Then the line of my smile shift by a fraction, and the air smells like burned sugar.